Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay?
Now you're more fluent.
Mackinac, he got free!
Good afternoon, good evening, and hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. What's happening this evening, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all doing? Everything good? Yep. I'm running good. How are things? Yeah. We are in effect tonight. We're having a conversation tonight. About, which I hate, by the way. I'm not a fan of it at all. This is about better player versus greater. And I bring that up, and the reason why I bring that up is because I think it's such a cop-out. I'm not a fan of it in the least bit. I'm not. And the reason why I'm not a fan of it is because better players get outplayed. When a player is quote-unquote greater, you're only saying that because of what he accomplished. That doesn't mean he's a better player. But what if I did that? What if I did this stuff while you was running around? What if I did all of this stuff in your timeline? Does that matter? Do you care about that? And then we can match, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at what you did and what I did during that time. Now we got to factor in stuff like circumstance. We got to factor in team construction. We got to factor in you getting lucky. We got to factor in injury. We got to factor all of that stuff in. Sure. What up, Wood? We got to factor all of that stuff in. I get that. Sure. I just feel like when you talk about a guy being greater, you're diminishing him. You're diminishing what he did because you're only talking about just him being greater. But he wasn't the better player than this guy. So I guess Mark Aguirre was greater than Adrian Dantley, but Adrian Dantley was the better player. No. Aguirre was a better fit for the Detroit Pistons, but they still was going to the championship in the Eastern Conference Championship with Adrian Dantley. They still were doing that. That still was going on. So the fact that they won with Mark Aguirre, does that make him greater than Adrian Dantley? No. Because we went to the championship with me too. Does it mean that if I'm a better player than you, we're on the same par, or the fact that you are, or you won more, now that separates us because I'm greater than you? The logic on the logic on this greater and better argument really boils me, because it's another avenue for you to make yourself, or make the player that you perceive to be better, a bigger deal. So you separate the two. I'm going to separate you guys by saying he's greater, but you ain't a better player. Even though I produced this during my time, I think that all of this stuff needs to be put together. When it comes to your resume, when it comes to the eye test, all of this stuff needs to be put together. How you performed, where you did it, when you did it, who you did it against, how you did it, and how long you did it. But then we got to factor in, well, I didn't have the team that you had. Well, I didn't have this. Well, I didn't have that. And injuries are a factor. That's just another way for you to boost your guy. That's just another way for you to get your guy more recognition. When there's plenty of times when whomever your guy is had an opportunity to advance, had an opportunity to win, and he didn't. So I'm not gonna lessen what a guy did if he won, and he may have been maybe slightly a lesser player than you, maybe. Or maybe he was on par with you, like Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett. I'm not going to separate those two and go, Garnett was the better player, but Duncan was greater. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Because you two guys were around during the same time. Well, Tim Duncan was in a better system. Tim Duncan had a better team built around him. Well, that's a you issue. That's a you issue. That's not something that I should be held accountable for. No. It's such a cop-out. Pick one. That's like the Jordan James debate where you go, well, James is 1A and Jordan is 1B. No, pick one. That's like having two quarterbacks. Pick one and explain why this guy is what he is. Explain that. Explain when I feel like when I have a criteria, because when I'm able to explain why I have who I have, where I have them, if I can explain that and put some context to it, the idea of a guy being greater and a guy being better, those two things don't work for me. Because now I've set a criteria, right? I've set a criteria for what these guys are. I've been able to do that. I think Chamberlain was better than Russell, even though Russell won more. Even though Russell won more, Chamberlain also won. And I don't think that he was greater than Russell. I think overall he was better than Russell. I think that what he produced in the time that he played and what he did, I think he was better. Now, sure, you'll make the argument that Russell won more. You won't hold me. I think that's interesting too, because you won't hold me to the same standard you hold other people, even though I'm the only one that beat him in that decade. You should have beat him more. I'm the only one who beat him. Nobody else beat him, but I should have beat him more. Those two things don't add up. They'll never add up for me. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So when you're talking about a guy being greater and being better, greater when, and I can't handle this, but greater just means that I accomplished more than you did, but that doesn't mean I'm a better player than you, which doesn't make sense to me at all, because if I played in the same era that you played in, if I played in the same era that you played in, and we did similar things, you should be able to decipher who was better. I don't think that there's a difference between I don't think that there's a difference between you being greater, okay, because you accomplished more. Magic won 3 league MVPs. Bird won 3 league MVPs. Magic won 5 NBA championships. Bird won 3. Was Bird better than Magic? The argument can be made that Bird was better than Magic. Not just as a player, period. Bird was better than him. That argument can be made. The flip side to that is Magic was better than Bird. That argument can be made. And not on some nonsense about because he won more or he was greater. There comes a time when I feel like a guy passes another guy. And in that era, I think it was in 87. And it wasn't just because the Lakers won the NBA championship. I don't think that it was just because of that. Magic had improved so much as a player at that point. Going into the 86-87 season, he had gotten so much better. And because he had gotten so much better, what he produced at that point as a lead guard, because what we're doing is what I'm doing is I'm comparing a lead guard to a small forward. That's what I'm doing. Basically like comparing John Stockton and Scottie Pippen. That's what I'm doing. I'm comparing a lead guard to a small forward. But I'm comparing these guys because they're similar in height. They did a lot of the same things, but one was better. And which one was better? And what was the deciding factor to make that other guy better? What was it? I think in 87, I think Magic passed Bird. But it was like this. It wasn't like this or like this. It was like this. And I think in 87, he passed Bird. For everything that he did, the offense started running through him more. He scored more. He became more efficient as a lead guard. He shot the ball more. He even distributed and playmate more. And I don't just mean as a distributor, but I also mean as a player, getting in the passing lane, disrupting things. Magic wasn't a great one-on-one defender, but he was good enough where he would compete on the defensive end, which you had to do back then. You could not just be a cone because teams would go after you, and we couldn't hide you. Even though he had the Defensive Player of the Year on his crew, teams couldn't hide you. We can't. So with that being said, right? With that being said, I think that's when he passed him. I don't think that Jordan, when he won the NBA championship, right? I don't think that when Jordan won the NBA championship in 1991, I don't think he passed Magic. I think he was already there. I think they were already there. I think in 92 it was official. I think in 92 Jordan was undisputed the best player in the game, and I don't think it was a question. I don't think it was a question. I don't. I don't think it was a question at all. So when I think about a guy, when I think about two guys playing at a similar level, and I watch Bird and Magic, I don't think anybody was really playing at Jordan's level. I mean, Olajuwon was, Malone was for a little while. You know, there wasn't really a guy that was in the same tier as a five-man in the 2000s as Shaq. It was Shaq and Shaq only. But when I think about a player playing at the same level as another guy, when I think about a player playing at the same level as another guy, what separates these two guys? Is it the winning? I like to think that the winning matters, sure, but I don't think that that's the deciding factor, unless it's more than once. I don't think it's the deciding factor, right? I don't think it's the deciding factor. Worthy wasn't greater than Malone. Worthy wasn't greater than Nick Woodage. No, he made the All-Pro team twice. He played 13 years and made the All-Pro team twice. That's the championship logic that you dudes talk about with me. No, I'm not doing that, man. Pick one and stick with it. Pick one and stick with it. Worthy was an All-Pro twice. That's it. That's it. 2 times. And James Worthy, in the words of Magic Johnson, man, I love me some James Worthy. I don't like James Worthy. I love me some James Worthy. I love him. I love me some James Worthy. But pick one. That whole, he was greater. Yeah, he won the finals MVP. I won't argue that. Sure. He dominated in that final series in 88. He was fantastic. But there was a stretch where it was Bird and it was Neek. Neek was never better than Bird. He was never greater than Bird. He was never better than Bird as a player or otherwise. That's just what it was. That's just what it was. So with that being said, it's important that you guys, it's important to me. I can't speak for you guys, and I won't speak for you guys. It's important to pick somebody and stand on it. This flip-flopping and being on the fence. This guy was greater, right? This guy was greater. This guy was better. Get that shit out of here, man. No, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. No. Pick somebody. Get a criteria. put a criteria together and pick somebody. I think that's a cop-out when you have when you have two guys and you go, this guy was greater than this guy, but this guy was better. No. Absolutely not. When I think about, so I guess I could say the same thing about Steph Curry and LeBron James. Curry won more than James, so Curry beat James more. So I guess Curry was greater, but James was the better player. No, pick somebody. Which one was better? Which one of these guys was better? Who was better, Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook? And why? Don't tell me that Chris Paul was greater because he got to the NBA Finals, because so did Russell Westbrook. Don't tell me that Russell Westbrook was greater because he won the league MVP. What else did he do? What's your criteria for these two guys in this category, both Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, being lead guards during this time and playing at a similar level? What makes Russell Westbrook, what put Chris Paul ahead of Westbrook? He was smarter, a better defender, competed more on the defensive end. But the flip side to that is he was beat up a lot in the playoffs. In the process of him being beat up a lot in the playoffs, they didn't go that far in the play. With the exception of the NBA Finals, he only got out of the first round twice. He got out of the first round of the finals. Russ has a sustained 11 years where he gave me 27. He gave me 28, 8, and 7 for 11 straight years. He did that. That's production. But wait a minute. Chris Paul, he gave me from 2000. Chris Paul became elite, I would say probably 2008. Probably 2008, probably 2008. And he went from 2008 to, I'm going to say 20, maybe 21. In those 13 years, in those 13 years, I got 10 elite seasons out of Chris Paul, 10 of them. In the process of them 10 years, he broke down in the playoffs. He finished number 2 in league MVP votes behind Bryant in 2008. He finished let's see. Yeah, he finished 2. He finished 2 behind Bryant. They did everything that they could to keep that. They did everything that they could to keep that MVP away from Bryant in 2008. They wanted to give it to Chris Paul so bad, which was blasphemy, by the way, because Bryant deserved it. I won't argue that. No, I won't argue that. But Chris Paul, for what he did from, I'll say, 2008 to probably between 2008 and 20. So those 12 years, right? Those 12 years. In those 12 years, Marcus, go do your homework. It's an average. Average all of these seasons out. 11 years. I get 28 a game. Average all of those seasons. Put all of those seasons together, and what do you get for an average, Marcus? Jesus Christ. My goodness. I'm sorry. Did I say 28? I meant 25. That's what I got from Russ. I misspoke on that. I didn't. If I said 28, I meant 25. That's what I got from Russ. I got 25 a game. I got 27, almost 28 a game from James Harden for 11 years. That's what I got. I got almost 28 a game. I think I got 28 a game from James Harden for 11 years. Russ, I got 25 a game. I misspoke on that. With that being said, who would I rather with those two guys? Who would I rather? Would I rather Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook? And I'm not one of these people. Well, if Chris Paul had Kevin Durant for 8 years, how much better would they have been? Well, I can say the same thing. Well, if Russ had Blake Griffin for 6 years, what would Russ look like? The problem with Russ is Russ wouldn't get off the peel as much. Russ had to become a point guard. Chris Paul was already a lead guard coming into the game. Coming into the game. He was already that. So with him already being that, the transition was smooth with him coming into the NBA. That wasn't a problem. Russ had to transition from the two guard who, I got the ball in my hands, I'm a scorer first, to becoming a distributor. So he had to learn the lead guard spot. So Russ was more of a combo, but then he became more of the lead guard than he was the two, even though he could play off the ball, but he became more of the lead guard. Chris Paul, on the other hand, was that right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. And KM, what are you talking about just because KD was on another level? That's not the point. He was playing with an elite player. Just because you're playing with a better player, that does not negate you playing with an elite player. That doesn't negate that. So the fact that Chris Paul was playing with Blake Griffin for 6 years and he was elite. He wasn't all pro. He wasn't all-star. That's the point. I'm not saying that Blake Griffin was a better player than KD. That's not the point. I'm saying that he was playing with an elite player. That's the point. But anyway, I digress. With KD, not KD, I'm sorry. With Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, the transition for Russ coming into the league as a two guard, transitioning into a point guard, I think that it was smoother for Chris Paul because he already played the lead guard. With him already playing the lead guard, he didn't have to polish nearly as much as Russ did. So not only did he not have to polish nearly as much as Russ did, he was better at taking care of the basketball. He was headier. His assist-to-turnover ratio was better because he was used to playing the lead guard. So if I had to choose between the two of those guys, even though Russ scored a ton of points, if I'm talking about a lead guard, who am I taking between Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul? I'm taking Chris Paul. That's who I'm taking. I'm going to take Chris Paul off the strength of what he did on both sides of the basketball, how much more of a lead guard he was, how steady he was, how much more I could depend on him, and how much he wasn't a detriment to us as a ball handler. That doesn't take away from how good Russ was. I'm not doing that. But I'm picking somebody because I have a criteria. This whole logic of this Wilt was better than Russell, but Russell was greater than Wilt. Fuck out of here, man. No. Pick somebody. Pick one of them. Pick one of these guys and stick with it. Instead of sitting on this guy was better than this guy, but this guy was greater than this guy. I think that is so corny. I just do. I think that is such a cop-out. Pick one of these dudes. Was Jordan greater than Kobe Bryant, but Kobe Bryant was a better player than Jordan? No. Pick one. Who was better? Everything within everything that they did, who was better? And the way that I'm able to come up with that is I got a criteria. Both of these guys were two guards. And what did Jordan look like later? What did Jordan look like early on in his career? I don't think it's a comparison. I don't. And I can't. I'll never subscribe to that. Ever will I subscribe to that. So I think it's such a cop-out when you talk about a guy being greater and better. And how much in your estimation, and how much in your estimation, when you talk about these guys, why don't accolades matter to you? Because somebody else is picking? Is that why? because somebody else is making this guy an all NBA player. Somebody else is making this guy a league MVP. Somebody else is making this guy an all pro. And they're not picking your guy, so the accolades don't matter. Is that why? There is a system that there is a system that I feel like needs to be abided by. We saw we saw what happened when the players voted for the league MVP. People weren't happy about that. So then we get the media voting for the league MVP. People not happy about that at all. People weren't happy about that. People weren't happy about that at all. So how do we get to a point where when these guys win what they win, that you can respect it and go, you know what? That was legit. And I respect the fact that he did do that. I respect that. I care about a guy being an all-pro for 10 straight years. I care about that. I care about you playing at that level for 8-9 years. You giving me most guys in their peak, and I said this yesterday. Right? I said this yesterday. Marcus, are you on drugs, Marcus? What's wrong with you? Are you talking to me? I want to make sure that I thought you was talking to me. I'm sorry. I was like, wait, what? What does Robert Horry have to do with this? Huh? Anyway, like I was saying, if you don't subscribe to guys winning the league MVP, a guy being an all league defender, a guy being an all NBA performer, if you don't subscribe to that, why don't you just subscribe to that? Is it because the media is biased? Because I can tell you right now, players are biased too. Yeah. Players are biased too. The media isn't the only, the media, they're not the only ones who are biased. Players are biased too. And in the process of players being biased, they can pick guys who you look at and go, word? Like, what's the criteria for that? Right? What's the criteria for that? And you know basketball, KM7, right? The media doesn't know basketball, but you do. You know the game of the people who know basketball. You know basketball. The media doesn't know basketball, so you should get a vote on who the league MVP is. You should get a vote on who the defensive player of the year is. You should get a vote on who the most improved player is. You should get a vote on who's an all-NBA performer, because you know basketball. The media doesn't know anything. They don't. The media doesn't know anything. So when the media votes Anthony Edwards as an all-league performer, they don't know what they're doing. They don't. They have no idea what they're doing. You guys have no idea. When and it's a different set of media. When the media votes for Wemby as the second best defensive player, for him to finish second in defensive player of the year, they don't know what they're doing. You guys, I don't know what you're watching. There's no way Wemby should be second in defensive player of the year. He shouldn't be. No, he shouldn't be. Why is Wemby, according to the logic that the media doesn't know basketball? Because the media doesn't. The media doesn't know anything. Right? The media does not know basketball. So whenever they pick guys, whenever they pick guys, it's always wrong. Unless it's your guy. Unless it's your guy. That's where the difference comes in. I'm not on the fence about that. I'm not thinking maybe. I'm not thinking possibly. It's when it's your guy, when he wins it, it's the first thing you bring up. 100%. It's the first thing that you bring up. The first thing. When they vote for your guy and your guy wins it. And don't tell me not to do that, Quentin. Don't tell me not to do that, because I talked enough basketball, and I talked enough basketball with people who know basketball. And when their guy wins, it's the first thing that they bring up. Don't tell me not to do that, Quentin. Don't. Do not tell me not to do that, because I've been around that. And I ain't talking about just guys my age. I'm talking about younger dudes too. Whenever they want to talk about Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook or Damian Lillard or Kyrie Irving or Steph Curry, they want to talk championships. They want to talk first team all pros. They want to talk league MVPs. That's what they want to talk about when they talk about these guys. Don't tell me that these dudes don't do that, because they 100% do that. Don't. I don't subscribe to this logic of it's just about basketball. Oh, because it's not. I just don't. And the reason why is because I know that when I watch a guy who doesn't win the league MVP, Shaq, for example, in 2001, Allen Iverson won the league MVP. I know what it meant for him to win it. I know what it meant for him to win it. And I know what it meant for him to be the league MVP. I know that because of the people who came. So when Jabbar won it, when Olajuwon won it, like that's the standard. That's who, when Jordan won it, when Malone won it, that's the standard. So when Iverson won the league MVP over him that year, when Steve Nash won the league MVP over him that year, that meant something to him. Are you saying that this dude is better than me? That's what you're saying. You're telling me that that dude is better than me. No, we ain't saying that. But he couldn't hear that. And I understand it. And the reason why I understand it is because these things matter. I watched Jordan walk up to the podium in 1991. Not the podium, I'm sorry. I watched Jordan walk up to David Stern in Chicago Stadium in 1991 to get his league MVP trophy. He's in tears. I watched Dennis Rodman walk up to the podium to get that Defensive Player of the Year, and he's in tears. This stuff matters to these dudes. The fact that it doesn't matter to you, is a slight against these dudes. I heard Dwight Howard talk about how he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year 4 straight years. And why? Because this is what these people are measured on. There's a reason why we talk about Bill Russell the way we do. Bill Russell played against plumbers. Bill Russell, he played in a weaker era. He still won. Chamberlain didn't win as much. Chamberlain didn't do as much as Russell. He still beat Russell. Can't nobody else in that decade say they did that except him. Nobody can say that except him. He's the only one. Karl Malone won the league MVP in 1997. He won the league MVP in Jordan's era. Jordan won it in 98. He won the league MVP. Barkley won the league MVP. This stuff matters to these dudes, man. Being an all-pro matters to these dudes. I heard Andre Iguodala talk about how he looks down the list of all pros and goes, I'm better than him. And I understand that from a basketball, when again, we're getting back to, from a basketball standpoint, I'm better than this guy. Sure. But what did you produce? What did you produce? What did you make of what you did when you were on Philadelphia, when you were in Denver, when you were in Golden State? What did you make of that? But I'm better at basketball than him because he had Steve Nash. Because I think, to be honest with you, I think he might have brought up Sean Marion, which I don't hate the comparison, if I'm being honest. I don't. Was Sean Marion better than Andre Iguodala? I don't know. I don't know if Sean Marion was better than Andre Iguodala. I don't know if you put. It's not even necessarily if you put Sean Marion on the Warriors, because I'm not. I don't know if that's a great fit. I think it's a good fit because how fast Sean Marion plays, the defender that he was. I just don't. I'm not sure. Right. I'm not sure that the results are the same. I'm not sure. But I want to hear from you guys though. This whole greater, better logic. I mean, how do you feel about it? That part I have a difficult time with. What up?
What up, Joe? You hear me?
What's up, brother? You hot?
Yeah. I feel like but don't let these people fool you. When they say that the person is greater but the other person is better, is that they really believe that the person that they're talking about, who they're saying is better, is usually not the consensus opinion. So it's like, go to Steve Nash, for example. They'll be like, oh, Steve Nash was better than Kobe in 2006, 2007, but Kobe Bryant is greater than him. That's just not possible. It's just not possible. Steve Nash was never better than Kobe Bryant. He was never better than Shaq. And even to my opinion, I don't even think Steve Nash was better than Jason Kidd. But that's just my opinion, and I'll say that honestly. So, but I think what they do is they do these things. Oh, but Steve Nash. So you'll find these no accolades merchants will be like, accolades don't matter. And then when they make fun of the fact that, because they'll make fun of the fact that then Steve Nash didn't deserve the MVP, but no, he deserved those MVPs. I mean, look at the offense that he ran.
Over Kobe, he did. Over Kobe, he deserved it. Yeah, give me a break.
But Kobe didn't deserve it because Steve Nash's offense was elite. Just stop the nonsense. It's to do with the idea that it's mostly not the consensus opinion. So they'll kind of caveat it because they don't want, sometimes they don't want the backlash. Like even with Jokic.
Let me ask you this question. I want to stop you right there. Is it because they just want to be a contrarian, or is there legit logic behind it? Because a lot of times, to be honest with you, Amari, I don't hear legit logic when it comes to it. I don't. That's the problem. I don't hear legit logic when it comes to that. When you tell me that this guy is better than this guy, but this guy is greater than this guy, one of the first things that I hear when I listen to these guys, is these guys telling me about accolades. That's one of the first things they bring up. That'll be the first things they'll bring up.
That'll be one of the first things that they bring up, and then they'll kind of pass it off depending on who the person they're talking about. Like this year with Jokic, there was going to be, and I knew it was, in a way, not to say I'm happy he lost, but like in a way, I'm kind of like glad the conversation didn't come up, because there was a bridge too far that was going to cross, that Jokic was better than Shaq, and it was coming. I could hear it in the back of my mind that they're going to say Jokic is better than Shaq, is better than Hakeem. I'm hearing this conversation start to brew, and honestly, look at the way how good he is. Yeah. Like
three straight league MVPs, win the NBA championship, win the finals MVP. Amari, now we got to start having a different conversation, and there's some uncomfortable people that don't want to have this conversation.
I don't want to have that conversation.
Now you know how we can avoid that. Let's make sure that Joker doesn't win the league MVP. Let's make sure that happens.
You can do that, and I do think that when they did that, we made sure that he didn't win the 3 straight MVPs, is because you start to put people in historical precedents. Now, like I said, like, does the media have biases? Of course. So me and you, like, my bias, I hate Russell Westbrook. Like, I can't stand watching Russell. I tried with Russell Westbrook in 2017. I can't stand the guy. I watched Russell Westbrook. I watched a lot of Russell Westbrook games. He was one of the most entertaining basketball players for 4 years. I watched Russell Westbrook in an overtime game versus the Philadelphia 76ers come down the lane 4 straight times, miss 3 straight dunks, and then try to then dunk it on Embiid in overtime. I've never been so frustrated in my life. That was the day I was done with Russell Westbrook. And from that point, I never saw Russell Westbrook in the set. He works hard, he plays hard. I don't care. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. But again, like, the uncomfortable conversations that we want to have, I think sometimes it's that, like, people want to say Jokic is better than Shaq. It's just that they can't say it because the historical precedence of Shaq is too high. That's the reason why. But what they're seeing is saying,
and he ain't better than Shaq.
He's not better than Shaq.
But go ahead.
But people want to say he's better than Shaq because of the recency bias. Then people will say we don't have recency bias. I can't stand when people say we don't have recency bias.
Yes, we do.
I am not 40. Like, I did not see some of these guys play in real time. And one of the things that bothers me about some of the people that are around about my age and a little bit older is that they speak about things that happened in the past as if they was there. I'm not saying that you can't speak about the things that were in the past as you was there, but you don't know what you don't know when you're doing something. Like, I can't tell you what it was like to be 25 because 25 years ago, that I don't know what you were thinking then. So it's hard to do, like when they're talking about like Bob Cousy, he couldn't dribble with his left hand. Nobody told him to do that. That's not his fault.
It's not that he couldn't do it. It just wasn't what was going on.
Yeah, it's not his fault. He was born in 1932. Like, it's not, or 1929. Sorry, whenever he was born. Like, he's 92 years old. I can't. And I think that's the thing that people do. So when they say the argument of greater and better, I think it's just because the consensus opinion is that the person that they're talking about is not better than the person. And they kind of use that out because I don't understand what better means. Into terms of in the season, yeah, sure. Like, Steph Curry was probably better than LeBron James in 2016. He was a better player than him. Kawhi could have been a better player than LeBron and Steph Curry in 2017, in my personal opinion. Sure. But I'm not going to say Kawhi Leonard was greater than Steph Curry in 2017 throughout the duration of his time playing, or Curry was better than LeBron versus his duration of his time playing. That's not the case, because once you do that, you kind of skew the argument. So I think in even with the thing with Jordan and Kobe, just say you think Kobe is better than Jordan. Just say it. Just say it.
Please just say that. Okay, don't give me the graded. I'm good. Just say that. That's and I'll be fine. I will be fine if you just said that, because at that point, at least you've taken a stance. You've taken a stance and you've decided, okay, this dude is better than this dude. This is why I think he's better than him. Not, oh, he's greater than him because he produced this, but he's better than him because his footwork is better and his jump shot is better. No. Pick one.
There's this weird thing in like what I see around basketball. This is a weird thing of this subjective objectivity that basketball fans have, where they try to be objective and then subjective at the same time. It's like, oh, objectively this person's better, but then this person does this thing. No. Just say that you prefer this player. Like, there's some players that I can't stand. I can't stand DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan's probably a good player. I can't stand the way DeMar DeRozan plays. It's not for me. I don't like mid-range merchants, but that's just me. There's somebody that might say DeMar DeRozan's a top 30 player in the league. For me, he's just not in the person that I would want to watch. Karl Anthony Towns, super talented. Can't stand the guy. Rudy Gobert, love Rudy Gobert. One of my favorite players in the league, Rudy Gobert. But everybody else hates him. But there's no reason for why you should hate him. There's no reason for you to particularly even like him. But when you kind of don't have a stance and you kind of take this kind of flip-flop kind of side of things, like for me personally, believe Hakeem is better than Shaq. Some people might say, but I have a genuine reason for what my criteria on why somebody is better than somebody is pretty clear for me. It's when you did it, how you did it, and basically when you did it and how you did it and who you did it against. Those are the kind of set criteria of how I determine somebody's better than somebody. And
it's fair. Mamari, I can't argue that, and I'm just trying to get some. I'm trying to get some clarity on what this is. So I appreciate you, brother.
No problem.
I appreciate you coming through, man. Good to talk to you. Yep. What up?
What up, Chill?
What up?
Hey, man, we could definitely get into this greater versus better conversation, because the last guy you had up, he said it perfect with the Kobe and Jordan. I'm one of those people. I believe Kobe is better than Mike, and I believe Mike had the greater career.
Can you pick one? Why can't you pick one? Why? No, you're not. No, you're on the fence. I like this chick. This chick better looking than her, but this chick got a better job, and she got a better house, her credit better. This chick right here, she's a lot more fun to be around. Pick one.
Nah, I got you.
B. Pick one.
Kobe's better on the court, if you ask me. If you ask me to win,
why is Bryant better?
He's a better shooter and he had better IQ. He had less tools to work with Jordan than Jordan had to when it comes in terms of talent or things that like are God given. Jordan had more to work with, so he should have done more comparatively than Kobe did in my eyes. Which on the court you could say he did. He has more points. But if you ask me, when I watch it with my eyes, I'm
watching both Bryant and Jordan. You're watching both of them,
right? Bryant is better. He's a better shooter. He understands the game better because he had to. He didn't have the tools and the gifts to just be more athletic than everybody. to get to the rim the way Jordan did. To like, I don't know. Not saying Jordan wasn't like a high IQ player. I'm just saying Jordan's IQ was more individual, where Kobe's IQ on the basketball court was for all 10 players on the court right now. Jordan was like, I could do whatever I need to do to beat whoever, whereas Kobe had to figure out, how am I going to get this whole team across the finish line, because I don't have the physical tools to do it myself. So I believe Kobe was the better player. But if you look at their careers, if you want to look at the numbers and look at the stats and all that, it's like when they put up those two blank pictures and just give you a bunch of stats and then try to tell you who's better. Okay, well, Jordan's stats are going to say he's better. But when I watch these two players play, and yeah, I get it. I'm young. I was like 8 when Jordan lost it.
I never saw Chamberlain play, so I don't want to hear that. I don't care about that. I wasn't around when Bill Russell was playing, but I can go do my homework and I can recognize when I watch these two. But keep going. Go ahead.
When I watched Kobe, I was young when all that stuff happened. I watched Jordan. I was young when all that stuff happened. But it's night and day. You could clearly see that Jordan has all the accolades, the numbers, da 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 da. So when it comes to that, how am I going to sit here and blatantly tell you, nah, Kobe's the greater player. He's the more. I can't do that. But for my opinion, I could definitely say, yeah, he's the better player. I don't care what the stats say.
It sounds to me like you prefer Bryant over Jay more. That's what it sounds to me like. So to be honest with you, you pick somebody. Okay, okay. So even though Jay did what he did, right? Even though Jay did what he did, if we're picking between the two guys, you prefer this over this.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. That's all I'm asking. Pick somebody. Okay, Jordan was great. Okay, Michael Jordan was fantastic. His footwork, the athlete he was, and I'm not going to dock Jay for being a better athlete than Brian. I'm not going to dock him for that. I'm not going to dock him because, what he had to work with in terms of his physical tools was better than most guys. The fact that he was the prototype at the 2 guard, the ridiculous athlete that he was. If I'm preferring one of the two, I'm preferring Jay, because I think Bryant was the duplicate, and the duplicate wasn't as good as the original. Does that mean that Windows 98 is better than what's going on today? No, I ain't saying that. But in this particular situation, these two guys, Bryant patented his game after Jay. That was the diff. Bryant patented his game after Jay, but it didn't look the same. Why? Because he wasn't the athlete. He didn't have the physical tools. He didn't run as fast. He didn't jump as high. He did have great footwork. He was a great shooter in the mid-range. So was Jordan. Could Bryant knock down the 3-ball? Yes. Jordan was able to knock down the 3-ball also. Was he able to get to the rim? Jordan was a fantastic finisher. If I had to pick between the two, Jay's my guy. I'm picking somebody. I ain't doing this. This dude was greater. This dude was better. You prefer Bryant. That's your dude. And that's all I'm asking, Quint. Pick somebody. That's it.
I picked Bryant for sure, but
here we go. We good now.
To argue Jordan's career or Kobe's career over Jordan, never losing in the finals and all that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to argue that. So, not to say the argument, obviously, if somebody asked me who had the greater career, maybe it'd be better if we had two closer players. But I can't argue whose career is better. Jordan got the shoes. He got the signature symbol. It's Jordan. Jordan's had the greatest career of any NBA player in my eyes, but it has to do with stuff that's off the court.
Quentin, you could like this chick, but marry this chick. You could prefer her, but this chick might be better for you. That can happen. That's it. But you prefer this one. That's all it is. That's all it is. So, Quentin, good to talk to you, brother. I
like
you,
you.
Absolutely, my man. What up?
Yo, what up, OG?
What up?
Hey, so what you think when some can't think about, who's better or greater? Do you just blame it on how they look at the game? When they're watching film or anything like that? What do you critique it on from the people's standpoint? Because, some people do have some crazy takes on who's better than who and who's greater. But do it start with how they look at the game, how they view the game?
That has a lot to do with it, because if you have a guy, prime example, I was just talking to Quentin. Quentin prefers Kobe Because the eye test. Him watching Bryant, he liked Bryant more than Jay. Now, if Bryant was a 3 or 4-time league MVP, we would be having a way different conversation. Even if Jay was a 5-time league MVP, we would be having a different conversation about Bryant. If he had won the league MVP 3 or 4 times, if Bryant was the defensive player of the year once, maybe twice. I'm sorry, maybe twice. If he had that, a lot of these guys who look at these guys with better or greater, they do it off the strength that those guys that they're going up against, they do it because those guys didn't produce what this guy did. That's what this is all about. If you prefer this guy over this guy, at least pick somebody. That's all I'm asking.
At least pick
somebody. Don't tell me that this dude was greater, but this dude is This dude is greater, but this dude's a better player. I'm not buying that because I'm not going to tell you Magic was better, but Bird was greater. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm picking one of them.
It's almost like you straddling the fence and don't want to make a real decision.
It's a cop-out, TD. It is. Yeah. It's a cop-out. Pick one of them.
And then, in some fault, I do kind of fault some players in the league. Like Steven Jackson, I don't know if you've seen that video when he said he thought he was better than Ray Allen. And I'm like, I mean, he was good, but I don't know about the Ray Allen part.
Mm-hmm. I think you're putting a lot on it when you're doing that.
Like some players, they do have some crazy takes when they say, they think they was better than some players. Then you have the people thinking otherwise, but you really don't know who to really, stand on. I mean, how you feel about that when the players, say takes like that about themselves?
To be honest with you, I like it because they've actually gone up against each other. And, when you go up against a guy, I can say I'm better than him.
Yeah.
He wasn't better than me. Now, I do have to factor in what he produced as opposed to what I produced. But from a talent standpoint, there are prime example. How many guys do you think in the league in 2013 when they saw Linsanity were going, yo, if I got opportunity, I could do that too because I'm that nice?
Oh, plenty.
I'm sure that there was plenty of guys looking at Linsanity going, I'm nice like that. I could do that. He just got turned loose.
That's it.
So
contract to contract.
To answer your question, I actually like it because these guys have actually gone up against each other, and as a former basketball player who's actually gone up against players, and I know I'm better than him, even though he might have produced more than me. But I have to respect the fact that he produced more than me, so not greater, but he better than me. I have to respect that. I have to.
Most definitely, because I was a kid when Jordan was playing, but I like hearing them too. Because when Kemp said, I'm thinking all these years, Jordan pretty much and the Bulls beat, the Sonics, but he's like, nah, Jordan, yeah, he beat us, he played us good, but Rodman was the factor in everything. And I'm like, it had me looking at the rewinding game, like, damn, I gotta look at it in a different way because he's saying, nah, Jordan did good, but Rodman. If there was no Rodman, it may not be a championship.
TD, they was in dogfights with the Bulls, and they was 1 and 2 possession games where Dennis Rodman came up with huge offensive rebounds and gave them second chance points, huge defensive rebounds where they were able to get stops, and that was largely due to Dennis. If Dennis doesn't do that, then we got a completely different outcome. That's why when you hear me talk about the dirty work guy, I mean that's why I value the dirty work guy like I do. So that's what I think though. But good to talk to you, TD. You know where to find me at, brother.
All right.
Yup. What up? Yo. What up?
What up?
What up?
All right. So I joined a little late, but from what I got from the last 2 combos is that you're saying that you don't think there's a difference between greater and better.
Pick one, please. Just pick one. Pick somebody.
No. I'm saying what is your issue with the
pick
distinction?
One. Pick somebody. You're not picking somebody. Pick somebody. Who's better?
Well, it's a different perspective. That's like I'm asking you who's a better scorer or who's a better passer. I don't have to pick the same people. It's different category.
Yeah,
better and great.
Okay, so if I'm choosing between John Stockton and Kevin Durant, who am I picking?
For what?
See that right there. Their careers are over. They're done. Their careers are over.
Wait. Hold on. You're talking about picking their careers, or like, for example, like I don't know. The question was kind of vague.
This is what we're talking about. These guys are out the league.
Oh,
It's
so you
not,
want me to pick two?
it's not vague at all. When I hear Wilt Chamberlain is better than Bill Russell, but Bill Russell is greater than Wilt. No, I'm not trying to hear that. No.
I got you. You mentioned Bird and Magic. It's clear Bird was the better player, but you're not going to get around the 5 championships, the 3 Finals MVPs, the 3 MVPs.
That's where we get. That's where the divide comes in with us, Plate. I don't think it's clear that Bird was better than Magic. I don't think so. I don't think
the reason I think so is because he won those 3 MVPs and he won 3 championships in an era where he didn't have the best team outside of 1 year in 1986. Magic had the best team almost every year. So I'm not going to take away that context and just be like, oh, well, since Magic won more, since he has similar accolades, I'm just going to put him above him. But it's like Magic, Bird was doing it in his path to the championship was way harder than the Magic. I have to give him credit for that. So if he's winning 3 championships in an era where the players who won championships is Magic won 5 in that era, Bird won 3. He's the number 2. So he's not the number 2 because he wasn't as good as Magic. He was the number 2 because he didn't have as much help as Magic.
Who was the number 2? Are you talking about Bird? He was the number 2?
Yeah. He was the number 2 in winning championships during the 1980s.
Well, he had the best. He played on the best front court in NBA history, so that's not true. With McHale and Robbie Parrish, that's a fact.
Nobody said otherwise. I said he did not have the best team outside of 1986. That's it. Every single year, it's either the 76ers or it was the Lakers that were better. And even sometimes it was the Pistons that were better. Okay, so no, I got you. So we could run it down real quick. 1980 was the Celtics better than the 76ers?
In 1980, that was the year. That was the year after. That was the year.
Dr. J won the MVP that year.
That was Bird.
No. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That was Kareem's MVP. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
They had won 24 games. They had won 60 games the next year. Okay, that was Bird's first year. And they had Cedric Maxwell. No.
Okay, so would you say those 1980 Celtics were better than the 1980 Lakers?
In 1980?
Yes.
No, I don't think they weren't there yet. The next year in 81.
Okay, so 1980.
They had the best team in the league in 81. Yes, they did.
So you're saying that team was better than the team that Dr. J was on?
In 81?
Yes, in 81.
Yes, they were better.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to break that down for me because I'm not understanding that. Because hold on.
What are you in the dark about?
They had the same record.
Yeah.
Right. Dr. J was the MVP.
Yep.
Right. And Dr. J had better players.
I love the accolades.
No. And he had better players.
Did he really?
I mean, yeah, he did. Let's look it up.
In 1981.
Yes, absolutely. With Mo Cheeks, with Bobby Jones,
right.
with Lionel Hollins.
Lionel Hollins, and let's go back. Let's talk about the Celtics. Let's talk about the Celtics and who they had in 1981.
Right.
Bird.
They had
Cedric Maxwell.
Parrish.
Cedric Maxwell. Kevin McHale was on that crew.
Yeah, Kevin McHale was on that crew. You know,
Kevin McHale was on that crew. He was a rook. He was new.
18 minutes per game.
Yeah, he was a rook, 100%. But it was largely due to Bird. Bird pushed them over the top. Bird made them better. They go from a 24-win team to a 60-win team to the next year in 81. I think they won 57 games that year. 58 games.
They won 60. I think. But what I'm saying,
okay.
Yeah, but
that was largely due to Bird. So when you're talking about a team being better, when you're talking about a team being better, it's largely due to, don't get me wrong, you know, you got a conglomerate and you got a bunch of guys that are collective, but you do have one guy that pushes this over the top. If you think about that Laker team in 2000, as good as they were, it was largely due to Shaq being on the crew. That Warriors team in 16, 17, as good as they were with Curry and Draymond and Klay Thompson, the fact that you get KD on that crew, that pushes them over the top. So
OG, I get you. But what I'm trying to ask you, let's stick to what you said before.
Yep.
Is the 76ers better than the Celtics in 1981? So they're
not. I think what you're talking about from a talent standpoint. That's where you're
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Oh yeah, of course.
Now, from a talent standpoint, I don't think that matters as much. And the reason why is because you still got to get on the court and you got to show it.
No, of course. And that's why I give Larry Bird a lot of credit. For example, even though he had a relatively shorter career than a lot of players, I still have him next to Magic in my rankings because of that. Because I saw that it wasn't that Larry Bird couldn't do these things. It was sometimes he wasn't in the position, whether that's because of injury or team construction relative to the league. Like, I'm not going to fault Larry Bird for losing in 1985 because in 1984 he made an upset win. So if he loses in 85, it's not like, wow, he should have won this. He could have won this, but it makes sense that the super team Lakers with more talent than him beat him. I think talent matters. Of course, it's not the end all be all,
100%.
but I mean, you the guy I beat, the guy who's the MVP with similar. Okay, he has more talent than me. He's the MVP. That we won the same amount of games that year, and I beat him off of my determination. So I mean, it's not that I beat him because I had the better team or whatever it was. It's I performed better than him. But that doesn't mean he's not a better player than me. Dirk outplayed LeBron, but in that year, I think everybody could consider LeBron better than Dirk outside of that series.
That's where I get the player and the greater logic screwed up. That's where I get that because better players get outplayed. That's where that screws me all up because I'm like, that's why you got to pick one. Now, as far as Larry Bird, let's not make it sound like, okay, that Laker team, sure, they were more talented, but not supremely talented. That was a damn good Celtic team with Dennis Johnson, with Bird, with Danny Ainge, with Robert Parrish, with Kevin McHale. That was a damn good Boston Celtic team. It wasn't like it was just Bird and they were okay and they ended up upsetting the Lakers. No, that was a damn good team. And this is the same Laker team that the year before in 83 got mopped out of the playoffs by the Philadelphia 76ers. So the idea that that Bird team, they weren't as talented, the gap wasn't that far. The gap was not nearly that far. And you being able to perform does matter. So when I think about your team, right? When I think about what team you have and I think about how you produce on that team and how you push that team over the top, that matters. That 100% matters to me. And I think that goes into how much better you are as a player because what did you do to enhance your unit? And when I think about Magic, I feel like Magic around 86, 87, I feel like that's when he passed Bird.
I mean, we could both agree that's when he peaked, and I would say that by that time, Bird had lost his step. The back injuries were getting to him. I think if he didn't have that injury or whatever, if he had modern medicine, I don't think that shift would have ever happened, and Larry Bird would have continued on to be better. But let me address something you said, and you said, the Celtics had a comparable team. I would say yes in terms of talent overall, but when you look at the players top to bottom, let's just look at Larry Bird. Who are you going to pick, Kareem or Magic? Let's say you pick Kareem or Magic, one of the two. They're matching up in terms of talent, right? When you get to the number two player, you have another MVP on the Lakers side. There is no other MVP candidate or even close to on the Celtics in 1984.
Dennis Johnson was the Finals MVP, man. He was an elite guard. He was an All-NBA player at that point. That's not true. He was playing at that level.
That was 6. That was like 5-6 years ago, though. Like,
but he was still elite. He still was elite. He
still
no.
I didn't say that. You're right. You're right, Joe. You're right. Compare that to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I'm not comparing Jabbar to Dennis Johnson. No, I'm not doing that.
Why
are you comparing Dennis Johnson to Jabbar?
Because they're the number two players on the opposing teams.
Okay, first of all, Jabbar wasn't the number 2 in '84. He was the man on that team. I think you're going off the fact that Magic won the finals.
I picked Magic. I said whoever you want to pick. All right, so you want to say Kareem?
Jabbar still was the man. Yes, Jabbar was still the man.
I agree. Fine. Yes. Okay, I got you. Magic versus Dennis Johnson. Is that even close?
I don't think it's
in 1984.
I don't think it's a huge gap, but it is a gap. I do. I
think
it's a gap.
Okay.
Magic is better, but I don't think it's like this. No, I think the gap is a lot closer than you think it is.
Okay, so that's fine. So that adds up for the entire team because we're going to go to the third player and the fourth player. Now let's go to the third player. Who's it going to be? Kevin McHale or Robert Parrish? Who would you say? I'll ask you.
Kevin McHale. Wait a minute. They both play on the same team. Keep going.
No, I'm saying the third player for the Celtics because the third player for the Lakers is going to be James Worthy, right?
It's going to be James Worthy.
Right. So who
at that time, James Worthy is in year 2. I'm taking Robert Parrish over him.
You're taking Robert Parrish over him? Okay, yes. So what's the gap? Would you say that gap is
it's close. It's not that far. It's close.
It's way smaller than the gap of the number 2s, you would say, right?
It's close. It's closer. Let me say that.
Oh, okay. So by this point, the Lakers are still out talenting just the top 3.
I don't
and
think
these are elite players.
But
these are elite.
But here's the thing, Play. I don't think we need to argue who was the more talented unit and what the gap was. I think that the Lakers were more talented. I don't think that they were supremely more talented. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to make the Celtics sound like they were completely and utterly inferior to them. No.
Was it an upset? What was it an upset?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's your opinion, but the opinions of the people who were there in terms of the reporters, they said it was an upset. I mean, you're old enough.
If we're being honest, they should have swept the Celtics.
That's what I'm saying.
They should have swept them. However, they let them back in the series, and the Celtics started playing basketball. The Lakers let them play basketball the way the Celtics play, and they got sucked into that game.
So it was a mental issue, right?
Yes,
it wasn't.
They got sucked into that game.
Okay,
that's
so
what
that's
ended up happening to them.
So I think that's why people like to differentiate between greatness and better, because sometimes there's an intangible aspect that I can't. Because when I think better, I'm thinking, look, he's scoring this much points, he has this box plus minus, he has this much gravity, X, Y, and Z. I can point to objective things that you can't refute. I'm just giving you facts.
Doesn't that go into it though? Like the fact that I'm mentally tougher than you. I'd like to think. I don't think that that's separate. We can't separate that.
No, that's what I'm saying. So because it's such an ambiguous thing, it goes into greatness, right? Because it's like the greatness people use is accolades, the impact on the game.
That's part of me being a player, though. That's the difference. That's part of me being a player. Me being mentally tough.
Better is present. Greatness is history. That's why. Better is present and greatness is history. So better is I'm rolling the ball out, 5 on, let's go. Greatness is when I look back, what did I do for the game? How did I affect the game? How did I win? It's when you think greatness is looking backwards. When you think, better, I'm looking at now. I think that's the difference. I don't know. I think that's a good analogy. But you tell me.
Yeah, good to talk to you, brother. Absolutely.
All right, take care, brother.
No doubt. What up?
What's going on, Shell?
What up?
Before I get into the Shaq Karl Malone thing that I saw, before I get into that, I'm gonna just get to the Kobe portion of it. Because I agree with you on one thing. Now, don't huff and puff, don't get all powered up, man. I see you've been working out and everything, so.
No, I haven't really been, to be honest with you. I'm more of a calisthenic guy than I am a weightlifter. I don't do that.
Wanted to pull up on the monkey bars.
I'm too old for that. I don't want to look like Shannon Sharp. I never wanted to look like a bodybuilder. Nah, that shit ain't real. I'm good.
Nah, he said that shit ain't real. It's like, yo, let me just do a couple of pull-ups. And
you see them dudes walking around like this. Hell no, I don't want to look like that.
Like, I don't want to be powered up. I mean, I don't want to be moved either, but I don't want to be powered up. You know
the difference, Leaf, is when I'm if you look like that, guess what? Dude's gonna try you more than you think. Dudes is looking at you like, yeah, they are. Yes. Because when they look at you, it's like, yo, this dude ain't really like, he just big. That's all he is. And
I mean, but the thing is, if I'm not powered up, can you really hurt me though?
Yes.
I don't think you can.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised the pressure points.
You gonna have to get. By the time you think you're getting a 10-punch combo off, all I gotta do is just hit you with one joint, bro, and you like 5 yards back. You basically looking like a weak wide receiver trying to go up against a strong safety.
Be surprised.
Come on, man.
With them pressure points.
I don't think you overpowering me if I'm that powered up, but not that I want to be. But listen, that's what I don't think. I don't think you are overpowering me if I'm that powered up than you is. No, hell no. Nah, but before I get into that Shaq Karl Malone thing, my thing. Listen, the greater, better. Listen, I think it all kind of boils in together realistically anyway. I mean, I know you had your, all right, yo, let's roll the ball out and what have you done for the game overall. Me personally, I never argued you on Kobe. I mean, I just didn't feel like doing it. I mean, me personally, I don't have LeBron that far ahead of Kobe to me, to be honest with you, bro. I got Kobe about fringe 5. I got LeBron maybe at 3. They're three the earliest, man. So I ain't gonna really bug. What the thing about with Kobe to me is that for 12 years, for 12 out of the 20 years that he played, you saw him at his apex. You saw him at the top form of his game. For at least, and it's not that many players in the history. And I know you applaud the big man. You applaud guys like Chamberlain and Kareem and Russell and all of those guys, and they definitely had their impact on the game, and the game has been belonged to them for so many years. But I personally got Kobe in my top five, your French top five. I sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling during the day, I might have Duncan over him. But I mean, that's just me. Now, question: do you have a top 10 two guard list?
We already went over it.
I did.
Yeah, we already went over it.
Clyde is in your top five.
I had. Let me pull it up real quick. Let's see here. I'm pretty confident that I have it here. In a second. Yeah, I got it. I got it in here. Let's see. I'm pretty confident. Hold on for a second. Let's see.
Yeah, that's me, Ghost. The same leak that said the NBA is scripted, because it is.
Let's see. All right. Let me see if I can put this up here for you, Lee. Hold on. Let's see. Nope. All right. So anyway, I wasn't able to do that, but my two guard list is Jordan, Bryant, Wade, Drex, Iverson, Harden, Ice, Reggie, Ray, Clay. And I struggled with Clay and Joe Dumars. I actually took Clay out of my top 10, and I had Joe Dumars, and then I balked like a bitch at the end. I should have kept Joe.
Like a bitch.
I did. I should have just kept Joe in there, because that's who I really wanted in there. I did. I balked like a bitch. I did. Yes, I did.
Wait. So wait. Somebody walked you down like at the corner store. Was like, yo, Joe Dumars? Really? Oh, Clay? Somebody? Don't tell me you know who did that to you.
No. This was before I even presented it. This was before I even presented the list. I'm going back and forth. I had Joe, and then I took Joe out. I had Joe in, and I took him out, and then I straight cheesed up like a bitch. And I should have kept Joe in there, because that's who I really wanted in there. So that's on me, 100%.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's all on me, 100%. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I'm having a problem with. Well, I'm not having a problem with the top five. It's just that I'm having a problem with the new no left hand logic. So some shit is going around that Clyde didn't have no left, right?
I can rebut that real quick. Jabal had one move. Stop him, and you stop him. Stop him.
But that still don't equate to Clyde was incredible. I had to really look at Clyde. I'm gonna get to the Shaq thing in a minute. I had to really look at Clyde, man. Back in those days, he was incredible, man. I'll be honest with you. I thought like the way Dominique was going, and you a Dominique guy. Did you ever think Clyde was gonna like be better than him? But like when you watched Dominique in the '80s, did you ever think to yourself, well, Clyde was gonna be better than Dominique?
I was never comparing him to Nick. Jordan was my barometer with Drex.
Oh, okay.
With Drex, just like Bird was the barometer with Nick. I was never really comparing.
Oh, he was the position.
That's what I was doing. I was never really looking at. I was never really looking at Neek and Drex.
So I mean, but you did watch Dominique go toe to toe with Jordan, though.
I did, and I watched him go toe to toe with Bird. I did do that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Dominique was something different, man. He definitely was. I mean, I thought Dominique overall. When I looked at him and I looked at Clyde, I looked at Dominique. I said, "Yo, Dominique is something different, man. Like as a scorer, he was like as an athlete, we already knew what he was, but as a scorer, as a rebounder, man, transition, run the floor, get to a shot.
Dominique didn't have any skills. I had to block somebody as soon as I heard that. I was like, I'm good. I'm out.
Oh no. Dominique has some talent.
Dominique didn't have any skills. Block. I'm good.
No. Dominique had talent. I ain't gonna say that. I won't dare say that. But Clyde, it's something that separated Clyde at them later years. I mean, obviously, them Portland teams were pretty good coming into the 90s. You look at 90 and you look at 92, obviously. But I thought, damn, man, Dominique, man. Yo, I see why you like Dominique. Dominique was fantastic, man.
He was my favorite. He was my favorite. Jordan was the best, but he was my favorite.
Vince was my guy too, man. But definitely Vince T-Mac AIs was my guy. Now let's get to this Shaq Karl Malone shit. This shit was funny when I heard it. So it was 94. What was it? 94 to 98. There was Karl Malone was better than Shaq. Right. I give you 94, but player to me. I mean, I just disagree. But like, you saw what your cousin was doing in 95, man.
He had a lot of holes in his game.
Oh,
he did.
Shit.
He had a lot of holes.
Listen, I'm not ignoring that, but for what he did, for the lack of holes that he had, and for what he produced, shit. Well, I think
it was awesome.
Didn't he get screwed out of the scoring title that year? Because that was the game.
He didn't get screwed.
David Robinson scored for 77 on the Clippers. Come on.
71. That's what happened.
71 on the Clippers.
Mm-hmm. That's what happened. So
yo, hold up. What was the level of tightness? Like, was you with him during that time? How pissed off?
He wasn't as pissed as losing the MVP to Iverson, though. He wasn't as mad at that.
Oh, he wasn't as 01.
He wasn't as upset about that.
And Iverson got that one vote in 2000, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, but like when I all right, but to get to my point, when I'm looking at the scale, I say Shaq. He always had. I thought defensively, I always thought Shaq was better than Malone. As a rebounder, I thought he was slightly better. As imposing his will as a scorer, I thought he was slightly better.
From 94 to 90, from 94 to 99.
No. I'm giving you 94. I'm giving you 94.
Okay, so 99. So 99.
I'm giving you 94.
95.
I'm giving you
How about 95?
95. He was still a better defender, and he was still a better rebounder. That was about it. 96, he started to cut into the gap a little bit with his scoring, with his offense. I started to see a lot more turnaround, a little turnaround over the shoulder, turnaround here. 97, remember they won 60-something games. And even though Malone and them showed them the door, I already know what you're gonna get with that. Malone and them showed them the door. But my thing is like player to player. When you boil down to that late portion of the 90s, I personally think that Shaq was better. I don't think that Malone was better than them all the years.
I don't think
that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think he.
So what year do you think he passed Shaq?
2000.
What year do you think Shaq passed Malone?
2000.
I'm gonna say 99.
That's when that I'm
gonna say completely 99.
Even though that was the year Malone won the league MVP, he was 36. But if you want to say 99, it was still like this. But I think in 2000, that's when the gap. That's when the gap got.
And you gotta remember Malone late in games, like, man, he done have some blunders.
I could say the same thing about Shaq. Shaq didn't. The free throw line was radioactive. He didn't want to. He didn't want the pill. He did not. He did not. So I will give you from 99 moving forward. But the transition player that Malone was, how good he was.
But Shaq wasn't good in transition.
Not as much as Malone was. That was Malone's game. They went from probably 94 to like 98. The Jazz played with one of the fastest paces in the league. And that was largely due to Malone. Shaq wasn't running in transition like Malone was. No, he wasn't. No way. I don't think you remember. I don't think you remember Shaq. I don't. Maybe. Let me rephrase that. I don't think you remember Malone. That's probably what it is more than anything. That's who Malone was during that time.
Malone. one of the greatest rim runners or transition players at his position. I ain't down
No,
that.
no, Leaf, not at his position. In the game. In the game.
Okay.
I don't know if there was I don't know from 94 to 98. I'll give you
Sean
Scottie
Kemp?
Pippen. I'll give you
Sean
Kemp.
You giving me Scottie, you ain't giving me Sean Kemp.
Scottie Pippen. In terms of a transition player.
Oh, okay. All right. Just this transition. Just living. All right, yo. You get most of your money on the break.
David Robinson.
David Robinson was damn good in transition.
None of them dudes, when I think about a transition player, none of them dudes was Malone, though. They weren't. So
I mean, I think in the later years, I thought he was more. All right, half court. He scored in the transition. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like it was in the early '90s and the '80s. He was running like a gazelle. I felt like
that's what he was doing in the mid '90s. So, but Leaf, I got to bounce, brother. I got to bounce. But it's good to talk to you, man. Absolutely. All right, guys, it's about that time for me. I'm getting up out of here. It was good to see you guys tonight. Y'all know where to find me at if I'm not here. I'm on TikTok Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. It's called Good Morning NBA. If I'm not there, I'm on the panel from 11 to 2 on Players Choice Network right here on YouTube. If I'm not there, I'm here on the Chilltown Hoops Network. Me and my man Tony Tone on Tuesday nights. And I'm here Wednesday night, Thursday night. You can find me here. And if I'm not there, you can find me with my man Big Ox on Saturdays, 12 o'clock. Chill with Chill. So I'm not hard to find. It was good to see you guys tonight. I will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Last time you talk to your mother, call your mother. I will talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light.